financial giants are not going to move from New York City to Texas. I currently live in Texas. I moved here from New York City, and everyone is saying right now that Texas is the next financial center, especially in light of yesterday's election results. This is not going to happen. You know whom financial giants move to Texas? Operations. Back office. There are some front office jobs in Texas, but they are very minimal because most people who make the deals, who make money, the front office of big financial giants, do not want to move to Texas even when they are promised promotions. Why? Because Texas lacks infrastructure. It lacks the New York City lifestyle. It lacks the networking. New York City has clusters of talent, and it's so much easier to build career in the East Coast in financial industries than it is in Texas. Not only that, big hedge funds prefer being closer to New York Stock Exchange because latency matters for high-frequency trading. If taxation and the cost of living were the main questions for financial giants, then Texas would have been the financial center a long time ago. You will see some movement here and there of front office professionals in the financial industries from New York City to Texas, but it will be very much minimal.
And I think that when you talk about personal, I think that it's going to be a lot bigger than people think. One thing that people don't understand is that investing in infrastructure is very much a thing. And when you're talking about latency and you're talking about trading and all of that type of stuff, that also exists in some financial capitals and centers. As a matter of fact, if you go down to Miami or you go down to Southern Florida, they basically have been branding themselves and advocating for a market as well as cryptocurrency and being a financial center for that also. And so when you talk about starting to take more money out of people's pockets, what I found is that people figure out a way. Make no mistake about it. I'll give you an example. We've seen it happen over in Los Angeles and Silicon Valley, and we've also seen it happen all throughout California. As taxes continued to go up, crime continued to go up, the lack of infrastructure being invested in, continuing to push liberal policies, people were quietly and some not so quietly looking to get out of California. And the ones that got stuck, the ones that were still there, they suffered financially, especially when they started putting a bigger tax on if your home sold above a certain amount. People was getting the hell up out of there. Some people even moved their residency over to Vegas. A lot of people moved over to Texas. A large majority of people moved over to Florida, and then they also moved over to Tennessee. And what do all of those states have in common? Every last one of those states do not have a state income tax. And so they all got up out of there, most of them.
I warned you guys, a lot of us warned you guys about Mamdani. I made a video speaking about him. I clearly stated that I didn't like him. And a lot of you came in my comments in that video and you told me off. A lot of you people were saying how I'm crazy, how I'm uneducated Republican, how I don't know what I'm talking about. You guys said a whole bunch of things. He hasn't even been in there a week and he's already asking for money. And I love how a lot of you are saying, yes, it's normal to get donations. Politicians always ask for donations. And instead of being mad and blaming Trump and blaming your mom and blaming everybody else, just admit that you're uneducated, admit that you did not investigate, and that's it. See, the problem is, I've said this in other videos, a lot of the younger generations, these younger Gen Z, are being indoctrinated. You are indoctrinated more so than educated. There are globalists like George Soros, Bill Gates, these types of people with lots of money that are funding universities. They're putting money into our universities, including some radical Islamists. And guess what? These universities, they do whatever just to get some money. So they don't even care. They're selling our country out and selling our youth out for money to line their pockets. You guys are being indoctrinated. You're brainwashed into believing that socialism is the answer, because at the end of the day, that's their goal. They want communism, and socialism is communism's little brother. I've said this in so many different videos. But a lot of you do not like to hear the truth. You want to live in your fantasy world. You hate Donald Trump so much that you just want to believe that he's evil. You want to tell yourself that he's the problem. Now, this is deeper than just a political affiliation. But, like a lot of you say, since you want to pick a lesser evil, it's definitely not the left. The left has gone so far left that it's radical and extremist. It's not the left that it was in the 90s. We're not in the Clinton era. I know a lot of Democrats, especially the older ones, like to believe this, but this is no longer the Democratic Party that you guys voted for when you were in the 90s and 80s. This is Democratic socialists are taking over the Democratic Party. It's radical. And this is what they're putting into these young kids' minds. They're putting this in their psyche, in their brain from very young ages. And in college, they just get done for.
That's true. I actually had reviewed a video of a woman that had said that her one requirement, because she was raised conservative, her father's one requirement was that she does not come back to the house as a raging extreme left liberal, and that's exactly what she did. And our colleges and our universities has basically become indoctrination camps for the left. So woke, so stupid, so dumb, don't add any value. And what you now see is a group of people that basically advocated and elected mostly young, white, liberal, extreme left women that elected a socialist that has never worked. And most of these people, they don't know their right from their left. I've seen street interviews where people are interviewing them and they saying, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? So on and so forth. And what about it is going to make sense? And they couldn't explain to you any part of it, but it's easy to take a talking point. And so now I've even seen a video, which I'm doing a separate review video for. I've even seen a video where he was talking about taking property from landowners over in New York City. Crazy, insane. But this is what y'all voted for, and I think that this is what y'all should get.
They come out of there just completely wiped clean. So it's up to you guys. We warned you, we told you, and these are the consequences. Do your homework, investigate, and don't let it happen again.
Listen, guys, I keep trying to film a video about why Zohran Mamdani won last night, and it really just comes down to this. Young people do not fear socialism.
They don't.
It's not a dirty word for them, and that creates fear in my heart. So while I do not live in New York City, I feel very worried about these results. I also think that there's a huge cost of living crisis happening in America, and that's the result of decades of economic intervention. Socialism won't help. It's gonna make things worse. Unfortunately, I think we're gonna have to find out the hard way. It's really upsetting to me that this seems like it's going to turn into a trend and that my generation is going to continually vote for socialists to rule this country and our cities, and things are just going to get demonstrably worse, as they did in Venezuela, as they did in Cuba, as they did in Bolivia, as they did in Argentina. Everywhere where this has been tried, socialism enters a honeymoon period for a few years while there's still wealth to extract from the economy, but then when there's none left, things go downhill really quickly. It's not Zohran Mamdani's great smile and good vibes campaign. I get why that's attractive to people. I understand the allure, and I understand why people want politicians to talk about cost of living. But ultimately, I think we're just too sheltered from the real impact of socialism.
We're gonna find out though. I'm looking forward to it. I really am. I want to see how many people are gonna leave New York City. I want to see whether or not they actually get this stuff funded. And I want to see how successful people are at taking other people's stuff and how much they're going to do pocket watching. Let me know what y'all think inside of the comments. Make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Teach Henley 40% off your first order, 20% off of life. I'm here for it. I am absolutely here for it. I have no tie to New York City.